I've seen a little bit of excitement on X regarding these tariffs that Trump has proposed, and who knows how successful he'll be in getting them passed. But I want to temper the exuberance here. So, tariffs, is well known, are a terrible idea. That just like communism and just like minimum wage, it's never worked. There hasn't been one time when it has accomplished the purpose it's advertised as having. Now, you can look into the history of that for yourself, but anyone who knows a lick about economics knows that tariffs do not work. And so this is a wonderful political example of telling stupid people what they want to hear. Because if you told them the truth, they wouldn't like you very much. Here's the truth, coming from someone who's not liked very much. Here's what happens when you implement tariffs. I mentioned minimum wage. It's very similar. It just makes everything more expensive. So you can take a snapshot of the economy and juice it all up by whatever percent, and that's what you get in a nutshell. Rounded to the next nearest truth, okay? There are obviously details here that we're glossing over. So why do people get excited about tariffs? Because they're too simple to understand that more money for whatever they do, so what they get paid to do whatever it is that they do, it doesn't occur in a vacuum. Everything else is under the same constraints. Everybody else is going to get paid more too. And that's going to trickle up to everything else. Do you think a medical doctor is going to keep doing what he or she does without preserving the percent pay increase that they get over doing anything else? No. So they're all just going to charge more. Because when they go to the store to get their thing that used to come from China, and now it comes from Gary, Indiana, and it cost 100 times what it did before, well, they have to pay for that. And so they're going to raise their prices. And it's not rocket science, and it's not some mysterious thing. We already saw this during COVID, right? Tariffs equal inflation, period. So get ready. Because I'm not sure people realize just how inexpensive life is because we can import things from places where people get paid a whole heck of a lot less. In fact, ironically, one of the reasons people are in favor of tariffs is because things are so cheap. Now, you might get all confused by that, so let me explain. We don't have prosperity in this country anymore. We have the illusion of prosperity. Now, thankfully for us, there's something material about the illusion. It's not just a vapor. You know, I can wear this hoodie that I bought for $6 on clearance on Amazon that was made in Indonesia or something. And it's a real piece of clothing. It really exists. But no one noticed that the way it's produced and the way it is consumed has changed significantly. We've been baited and switched for so long as a society that it's actually been several generations since the good stuff was had, and no one's noticed. And so our two choices right now are not take it back to the way it was or keep it going the way it is. Neither of those two actually are choices. The choices there are two. One, continue riding the tiger. Now, I've told you what that phrase means before, but if you're on a tiger, the best thing you can do is stay on it. Because if the second you get off the back of that tiger, it's going to kill you. And there's no way to escape that. So the safest place once you're on a tiger is right on that tiger. And so we can do things that will continue to eke out as much as we can get from the present system. It's like continuing to squeeze the lemon once the juice is gone. Well, if you squeeze it way harder, maybe you'll get another drop out of there. There's no other lemon. The second option is to destroy things even faster than the present system does. And that's what tariffs do. And you can apply this template to pretty much anything in modern society, and you'll see that it holds. Those are the two choices. Ride the tiger or make it way worse. And so tariffs make it way worse. My point in saying all this, of course, is you're not going to stop that train, but you can ride the tiger. If you know it's coming and you know it's going to be a heck of a lot more expensive, you can prepare today. There is limited utility in going crazy in the prep game, and some people do that. But if you look at practical things that you know you use and you have a convenient way to store them, you don't have to build bigger barns, so to speak. Why not just buy a box of socks or something, right? You're always going to need socks. I remember, this is actually a practical idea, but my wife, we had socks that were all different shapes and sizes and colors for the kids. And I watched my wife waste all this time pairing up socks. And step one was, I said, hey, why don't you have a kid helping you do that? And so it became a family activity. And I thought, we're just wasting immense amounts of time. So I told her, don't buy any more socks for a while. And the holes developed in the socks and we tossed them out. And so we had a winnowing set of socks. And then I just went to Costco and waited for a sale. And when the socks were on sale, I bought a whole box. And we won't need socks, I don't think, until my kids grow out of the house. It just makes sense. If you've got the money, they're only ever going to be more expensive. And that's a mantra that you should get in your head. It's only ever going to be more expensive. Now, does this mean you go out and buy a second hot water heater because eventually your first one's going to break? I don't know, probably not. Does this mean you go and buy a refrigerator because your current one's going to break one day? That one kind of makes a little bit more sense because the regulations, the plumbing might change for the hot water heater, whatever. But still, that's a little crazy to have a second refrigerator sitting in your garage or something. But clothes, you're going to need clothes, right? You're going to need shoes. If you're going to need it and you can afford it and you can store it, why not get it? Now, one caveat on this is that the more junk you have, the more you have to move. And if you're anticipating moving, maybe it's not such a great idea. So more than anything, it's just, hey, get used to the idea. Adapt your circumstances accordingly because it's coming. A final thing on tariffs that I forgot to say is, like so many of these other things, minimum wage, universal basic income, tax cuts, whatever, they are almost never uniform. What do I mean by that? What I mean is you're not going to see, it's unlikely, it's highly unlikely that what they would do is say there's a 100% tariff on all imports. They'll have carve-outs out the wazoo, usually coordinating with cronies who need certain things cheaper, but also they'll segment it by topic or country or whatever else, and there will be layers of complexity there. And all of this exacerbates the issue of prediction. And this is a huge problem with any kind of government intervention. When the government starts messing with foundational aspects of commerce, one of the biggest problems is they reduce the ability of a business person to predict the future. And you might say, well, whoopity-doo. Here's why it's not whoopity-doo. When you make an investment, if you're any good, you're doing calculations on expected returns. And if you don't know what the future holds 1 year out, 5 years out, 10 years out, if it's less certain than it was yesterday, you will absolutely invest less in the future because you have to cover your butt. You have to make sure that you're still in business at the end of the day. And so with the clamor about the tariffs, anyone who has business that involves imports, which is pretty much everybody, has to think very carefully about the future. And if you were just going to build some factory in Mexico, you're not going to do it, right? And you might say, well, who cares about Mexico? Well, the Mexicans do, I'll tell you that. But it all trickles back. It's all connected. And what that means, it doesn't mean that they're going to, this company, whoever we're talking about hypothetically, is going to open a factory in Gary, Indiana. What it means is they're probably going to put things on hold because it's uncertain. They're not going to commit the resources at all. And what that means is that they're going to lose money. Capital not deployed is not profitable capital. And you can get into the ins and outs of this, but at the end of the day, it's worse for the worker. So it's bad news, and there's plenty of that coming. And this exuberance people have of some kind of American Camelot, they're on crack. It's not going to happen. The best we can bet for is a little artificial jab to the arm. I guess that's a dangerous idiom to use these days, but a little boost, and it's limited. It's like drinking a coffee. It's going to be a little better for a little while, but it's temporary. It's going to wear off, and there's no replacement. So bear that in mind.